this is Andy. I'm going to review the first episode of The Stand. So I watched the miniseries from the 90s many times. I love that miniseries. I've also read most of the book, but didn't finish reading the book, but I listened to the audio book the whole way through, the extended version, the unabridged version. So I noticed there was a lot more characters in the book and audiobook, obviously, the compared to the miniseries. They had about a 6-hour-long show for the miniseries, so I expect with this new limited series on CBS All Access that it will be, 33% more content. So they'll have an opportunity to bring in the characters that they left out from the 90s miniseries. Generally, I liked it, but there's some good things and some bad things about it they'll talk about. I'm a big fan of Stephen King, even though I haven't read or listened to all of his stuff. But I'll get into that later. Why I'm a big fan. But let's talk about the bad things first. And by the way, they're going to be spoilers, I guess. If you haven't seen it, then you should probably see it. And it's pretty good, so it's probably worth it for you. The bad. It's told non-linearly, meaning there's like flashbacks going on, and I'm just not used to it yet. But it's a little unusual, I guess. The book is told linearly. The miniseries is told linearly. But the opening scene of this new series is a scene from halfway into the book, maybe even 2/3 of the way into the book. So it feels like there's like spoilers of the whole story right from the beginning. I'm looking at my notes here. I feel like they're not building up the sickness of the disease. Well, let me back up. So the basic gist of the book is there is a global pandemic, this disease that kills almost everyone in the entire world. 99.4, I guess, something like that, percent of the world dies, leaving like 0.5% of the population of the world surviving. Quite the opposite of what we're going on now in real life, where it's only a tiny fraction of 1% that's actually dying. But a little off topic there. But anyway, so this disease is killing off everyone, and there is some question about why they are immune to this disease, and if there's something a little more supernatural going on, if they've been chosen to survive or not. But one of the problems with that I have with the book is, that I have with the miniseries, but one of the problems I have with the new series is that there's not much of a mystery building up to the sickness. It's just kind of like we're just kind of thrown into it like we already know it's a thing. And a lot of the people watching might know that it's all about the disease, but it's really not much about the disease except for in the beginning. It's more about the survivors. So maybe that's what they're going for. The disease isn't the biggest part of the book. It's just kind of the catalyst to tell these stories of the characters. But they're telling the story non-linearly, which basically means we're just thrown into the disease immediately, and there was no build-up or mystery with it. So it's a little unusual to see characters sick right off the bat, instead of seeing them not sick right away, and just kind of like seeing the sickness kind of take hold and kind of show up gradually, I guess. But and one other kind of complaint I have is the government is shown in a much more positive light in this new series. With the book and the miniseries from the 90s, the government has definitely been shown as a much more of a villain from the early parts of the book than it is shown in this new series. But maybe they're going somewhere with that. Maybe they're just trying to get past this part of the book. Maybe they're just trying to get past this part of the new series. Because really the government is, once it's all said and done, the government's gone. The government is no longer a player, and it's about the people that have survived and their battle of good and evil. So I guess those are mainly the bad things, or the less good things. Now here are some good things. It's not for kids. That's a good thing for this story. There's language, there's gore, there's adult themes. And this story is definitely not for kids. It's a horror book. And even though I never really found it scary, but it's definitely a horror thriller type book, and it was watered down quite a bit for TV back in the 90s, but now that it is on a streaming service, they can do that aspect of it a little more accurately. The first episode kind of revolves around Harold, Franny, and Stu, and some of the people at the CDC where Stu is being held. And it seems like the first episode is mostly revolving around 3 of the main characters, and it really didn't show much at all about many of the characters at all. I mean, it didn't show anything at all about the main characters other than these 3, Harold, Franny, and Stu. There are some side characters that they showed, and they showed that very, very little of the main bad guy, which I'll get into later. But they mostly revolved around Harold. He's a writer from Ogunquit, Maine, and he's kind of has this crush, obsession, sort of stalkerish type vibe going on for Franny, who's another main character, and they are both immune. The only 2 people seemingly immune from this one little town in Maine, and Harold sees that as a sign that they're meant to be together, and Franny is just upset that she had to bury her dad, and I feel like she's always thought of Harold as more of a nuisance than a kind of a friend. But they're kind of thrown into the situation together, and it also the episode is kind of also around Stu Redman, which you could kind of call the main character of the whole book, the main character. But there's so many other characters that have strong roles that it's debatable if he's the main character, but he kind of is. But he's played by James Marsden, which I thought was a pretty good choice. I don't have any issues with that. It seems like a good actor for the role and everything. But it's mainly about these 3 characters, and I have no problems with who they cast or anything. Harold seems like the casting was pretty good for that, and Franny, we'll see. I have no issues with it, but they haven't really thoroughly gone into her yet, so we'll see about that. So the series is about 8 episodes, 55 minutes each, but plus it seems to be like a supplementary episode at the end. Without giving too much away, I guess episode is the first part of the title of the last episode, episode 9, is called Coda, and then some other stuff. So I guess it's kind of like a supplementary episode. Who knows what that'll be like, but that'll be in February or so we got a little ways to go for that. So there's going to be 33% more content in this new series than there was in the miniseries. So hopefully that'll make it so the characters are a little more fleshed out, and characters we didn't see from the book in the miniseries we'll see in here, and it'll be interesting how they handle that. But they're cruising right along with the story. The first episode, the first hour, shows at least it seems like the majority of Stu Redman's first arc, from when he gets exposed to Campion, the guy from the guy who escapes from the government facility, and he kind of his first arc of him getting taken by the CDC and escaping, which is really more of a invited out of the CDC. There really wasn't much conflict there. He didn't seem super upset about being there like he did in the book and the miniseries. It's more like he's just kind of there helping out, and then he just kind of leaves. There's not much conflict there with the government. I think there should be a little bit more. But let's talk about the main villain. They don't name the main villain in this first episode, but the people who have seen the miniseries and the book know that he's Randall Flagg, and he's an awesome character. And he's a kind of a cowboy like dude. He's I said dude because he goes by many names: the Walking Dude, the Stranger, the Men in Black. But the last scene of the episode is the background music is The Stranger by Billy Joel, and I thought that was a really good choice because this character is actually not just in The Stand. He's one of the main villains from Stephen King's Dark Tower series. He's the main villain in several several Stephen King books. He's actually King's main villain in the Stephen King universe. And one of the names he goes by is the Ageless Stranger, or the Hard Case, or the Walking Dude, or the Man with No Face, or Randall Flagg, or Walter O'Dim, or he goes by many names, and he goes by many faces, and he wears these buttons on his leather or denim jacket with different faces on it, and he's one of the greatest villains of books that I've ever read. So he's awesome. It's a great character, and I think the actor who plays him, Skarsgård, I forget if it's Peter. Stellan's the dad, I think. Peter Skarsgård. I think his name's Peter. But he's also got a brother, the brother who he played Pennywise in the new Ed movies. So that's pretty cool. Interesting connection there. But the Dark Tower factor. I will not be satisfied from this miniseries unless there are some connections to the Dark Tower. The Dark Tower is Stephen King's Lord of the Rings, Stephen King's Harry Potter series, Stephen King's... it's the linchpin of all of Stephen King's books. Maybe not all, but many, or most of Stephen King's books have some sort of connection to the Dark Tower series. And if they go through this new series without sort of connecting, without at least giving a nod to the Dark Tower fans, I'll be kind of upset. But they kind of already did give a little bit of a nod by having Billy Joel's The Stranger as the background music in the last scene. Meaning, like, he's the stranger, he is the ageless stranger who's the bad guy in many of Stephen King's books. And it's actually it's interesting. There's what should have been the beginning scene, I think, in the new episode, but actually showed it at the end, is where Campion, the guy from the government facility where this Superflu, this Captain Trips, was being held. You see that Campion was able to escape from the facility because what we see is just a cowboy boot holding the door open, and the door was you can see like there's damage. The door is trying to close automatically for security purposes, and you can see this boot holding the door open, the door being dented and damaged by this boot holding it. And it kind of shows the supernatural power of this guy with the boot, who looks like is turning out to be, obviously it is, Randall Flagg. So he allows this Campion guy to escape from this facility and spread the disease over the entire country. So the government creates the disease. Campion foolishly escapes from the facility, already being exposed to it, but Flagg is the one who ends up allowing Campion to escape. So they're all, kind of responsible in their own ways for this 99.4% of the world's population dying. And it's interesting. He's such a cool character, Randall Flagg. So, what do I expect from episode 2? I guess I kind of expect us to not see Stu Redman, Fran, and Harold. I think we might not see them in the next episode. I think we'll see a couple different characters, and we'll kind of get a taste of those newer characters, and maybe it'll happen another time after that. And then after maybe episode 4 or something, we'll see them all start to come together and kind of do that. I think we'll see Nick Andros, who is a key player in the series. I think we'll see Larry Underwood. I think we'll maybe see the Trash Can Man, Lloyd Henreid, and if we see Lloyd Henreid, that means we'll probably see a lot more of Randall Flagg, which is awesome. Anything more Randall Flagg is good. I guess that's what I think. I mostly liked it. Some things I didn't like, but generally it was good. I give it a solid B. Give it a solid B. So, that's a review. Thank you.